Hi there, this is Cliff for Norman's Printery, and this month I want to show you how we're going to create our September calendar. It's going to be a two-color letterpress calendar. So first what we want to do is scan some old clip art, so we're going to need a scanner and scanning software. We're then going to edit that art in Photoshop, and then we're going to bring it into Illustrator to vectorize it, and then we're going to finally lay out the art and all the type in InDesign. From there we're going to create film, and then we're going to create a photopolymer plate from that film, and then we're going to print off that photopolymer plate in a Heidelberg windmill. So it's a lot of steps, but it's really not that bad, so let's get into it and you can see how we do this. Okay, so here we are at our first step, scanning. I've put in our book into the scanner here. This is a preview of that page. I want this little lure here. We're going to go with a fishing theme this month, so I like this little frog lure. So I've selected him. Now really the only real trick to scanning is you want to scan at 1200 dpi or higher. That's what we scan everything at, and that's going to ensure you have clean, crisp edges. If you scan too low resolution, you're going to have jagged, bitmapped edges. But if you're at 1200 or plus, you're going to get beautifully clean edges, and that's going to print great. So other than that, you really don't have to worry about much. You can scan in color, black and white. Black and white's probably just as easier, and you'll be ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and scan our little frog. Alright, so here's our scanned frog. It came out fine, but what we want to do is increase the contrast a little bit, and we want to convert it to a bitmapped image and save it as just a pure black and white image. So I'll show you how we do that. First we're going to go to Image, Adjustments, and Levels. Now we want to move up the darks a little bit darker by clicking the little dark selection here, bring that in. We want to take the highlighted areas and bring that further in as well. So what we're doing is increasing the contrast. So you can see the lights are a lot lighter, all the texture from the page is gone, and the darks have gotten a lot darker as well. So we'll hit, you can see the preview there. So we hit OK. Now we're going to convert this to a bitmap image. If you scanned it as a color file, like I did, first you'll have to go to grayscale. If you scanned in grayscale to begin with, then you'll just be able to go right to bitmap, which is what I'll do now. And you want to make sure that you go up to a 50% threshold here. By default, it might be on halftone screen, so you want to select 50% threshold. And you can see we're still working with our 1200 dpi photo here, so just leave that alone and that looks great. So what that did now is create a completely black and white image. Again, no gray areas. You want, for letterpress, you either want it to print or not print, so this gives you nice clean lines and nothing in between. What I'll do at this stage now is if there's any areas I see that I want to take out, that I don't want to print, I'll go ahead and erase those. So I'll make sure I have white selected here and grab my brush tool and zoom in and take out any little spots around the edges here I don't like, and even if there's anything in your art that looks a little weird, like I see a little white speck in his eye here, so I'm gonna select my black tool, black brush, and fill that in. And you can just clean it up however you see fit. Just take out whatever you don't want. Alright, looking good. So now I'm going to save this as a TIFF, and TIFF will hold my bitmapped image mode. You don't have to worry about that, and then we'll open that up in Illustrator. Alright, so here's our frog bitmapped image in Illustrator. So we'll go ahead and select it. We're going to click Live Trace. We're going to wait a second, and it's going to trace it out and vectorize it for us. Alright, so once you see the outline of the image again, we're going to go up top here and click Expand. Now what that does is separate out the white from the black image. So to give a little demonstration of what's going on here, if you select your white mouse tool, you can see that the white is still actually part of this photo element. So we're going to select our magic wand tool and just click on any white area, and that'll select all the white areas, and just hit delete. So now what you're left with is just the black image. There's no white in here anywhere. Wherever It was white, is just not part of this image anymore, only the dark areas, which is exactly what we want. So we can go in and recolor this now, we can resize it with no problem, and that's the real upside to vectorizing your art. It's a lot more usable. Something else I wanted to show you while we're still in Illustrator here is how to get to Pantone colors and how to use Pantone colors. So right now, as obviously you can see, this is a black image. But what we want to do is under your swatches tab, there's a drop down menu all the way to the right. If you click on it, you're going to get this list of options here. You're going to want to go to Open Swatch Library, and then in that sub menu you're going to go to Color Books, and then in that sub menu you see all your different Pantone libraries. For printing, generally we always use either solid coated or solid uncoated. We're going to use solid uncoated for this project. And that's going to open your window of Pantone books here, Pantone colors. So you can sort by lots of different ways. The way it opened for me is how I like to do it. It's called Small List View. You get a little preview of the color and the name, and then also the show find field. So if you have your number of what you're looking for, you can just type it in there, and that'll instantly pull up your color instead of scrolling through a bunch of colors to find it. Now, to use them is really easy. All you do is select the art you want to recolor, find your color, and click it. Now what it did is brought that color into my swatch panel over here as well. You kind of want to be careful if you're trying a bunch of colors and just trying to see what works. That's fine, and you can do that. But what's happening is it's putting each one of these in my swatch library over here. So if you were recoloring a few different elements at once, you just want to make sure that when you're ready to go to print, everything is consistent and you've deleted out the old colors that you don't want. So that's how to get to Pantones and how to use those. Now obviously if you're using the Pantone system, you really want to have the printed Pantone book by your side as a reference. That's the point of the Pantone system, is you have the printed book to show you what the color truly is printed, and then your printer will have that book as well and be able, you over the phone or email or whatever, you're talking about the same color. And that's the color the printer's going to match. So you can spec the Pantones, and that's fine to do, but again, you want to go buy a printed color Pantone book to really know what color you're getting. Alright, now one last thing just before we head into InDesign. I want to show you how you can mix it up a little bit with colors, and again, the upside to working with vectors here. So this is my lure. I've got it in the color I want, but you can make it a little more dimensional by adding a second color. We're going to print our calendar in 2 colors, so this whole image doesn't have to be one color. If I take my direct selection tool, I can click on the eyes here, and now since the eyes aren't connected to the rest of the art by any other, if this came out and connected it, it would select the whole piece of art. For instance, if I click this little hook up here, that selects everything because it's connected by all these different colors, but the eyes aren't. So I'm going to go ahead and click into there and click on the other one, and this will be the other color we're using for our calendar, this 548 blue. So yeah, it's just a simple little way to add a little more dimension to your single color clip art files. So I'm going to save that. I'm going to show you one other piece of art that I've worked on already for this calendar. This is a fish that I've scanned from the same book, and to add a little more to that, I went and well, I'll show you the layers here. First of all, this is the single color piece of art that I scanned. Then what I did was I locked that layer, I created a new layer, and with my pen tool I traced around the lower half of the fish here, around this line, kind of separating it down, then around the bottom, and when I turn that layer on, you can see that is that piece there. I've made it a gradient, so it kind of fades into the rest of the fish. If you were to see it as a non-gradient, we can get a preview of that. So it's not bad, but I kind of like how it fades into the rest of the fish there. And again, these are the 2 colors that'll print on our calendar, so this will separate out fine for letterpress. The blue will go down and then the red, and it's I think it'll look pretty good. We'll see. So it's just a way to add a little more dimension to your single color images. Okay, now that all our art is edited and press ready, we're going to start dragging it into InDesign to lay everything out. So what you're looking at now is our template. We've come up with a template for our calendar since we do the same type of thing every month. And it's a real time saver if you ever find yourself doing the same type of project over and over. It's great coming up with a template so you don't have to start from scratch each time. What you're looking at, each box here is a different panel of our calendar so we know where to drop our art into. So I'm going to go ahead and turn our art layer on now. I have my template on one layer and our art on a second layer here. I'm going to overprint preview. Alright, so that's what our calendar looks like on screen. We have each panel here, all our art's been dropped in. I've put in the dates and all the other info we want on here. And again, I was real careful to make sure that only the colors I want to print are the colors that are on here. So all this blue you see is my 548U and 178U. So the blue and the reddish pink. So there'll be no problems in the next step, which is making the film. I just want 2 pieces of film. One is going to be all my reddish pink area, and one is going to be all the blue area. And if you have another color in here, let's say I had a black or another Pantone color, it would try making a plate for that as well, and that's what I don't want. So before you send your art to the printer, you want to just double check it, make sure that it only includes the colors you want, because if it's not, it's going to give you trouble. So we can finally get this off screen and move on to the plates. So let's do it.